Do you know how long it takes to upload 7,000 SKUs back into Shopify?
14 minutes.
It takes a lot longer than that.
15 minutes.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
Dale, I feel like we're the opposite of most comic publishers, especially a Marvel Comics publisher.
How's that, Patrick?
This is episode number 550
Ooh.
of Contest of Challengers, and we're not doing anything special for it.
We could charge people more for it.
Okay.
I like the idea of this being a $10 episode of the podcast.
Oh, you know what? We should add a lot more ads to bulk up the running time.
Sure.
And tell people that it's a double episode, when in fact you're paying $4.99 for Sinister War, which is just 20 pages.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, I would want the next episode of Contest of Challengers, the comics industry business podcast from Chicago, Illinois, to be episode 1 of a new series, and then we hit episode 50 of that. We'll renumber back to 600.
I mean, we did that. We did series 2, season 2, where we had a whole different
legacy numbering
format, and then after, I don't know, 15 of those, we're like, nah, we're just rolling it back.
Yeah.
Or I think when we got to 50,
we did
we just put it back. Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's how you do it.
We can do it that way. Sure, that'll be fine.
Okay, great.
Although, I don't know what is the more fun number, like 550 or 555?
Maybe. Fives, for sure.
Yeah.
So, the tricky thing with the legacy numbering that you want to do is you want to essentially double up your opportunities for anniversary issues. Like, you don't want to do it at 551 because then when you hit 50, you're also hitting 600. You want to hit 50, and then, like, the next issue you want to hit 600. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you want to have, like, issue 74,
like, this should
which is a $10 go-away issue.
Yeah.
And then have 75 be a $10 welcome issue.
Right, like, we should have done... This should be episode 1 of the new numbering. And then that way we could have gotten...
When we get to 50, it's also 600.
Yeah, 50 is also 599. And then you do 600, and so on and so on. Like, yeah, that's how you want to do it. You want to maximize those upselling opportunities. Or upcharging opportunities, I should say.
Yeah, upselling is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I was going to define it, then I thought, nah, who cares?
Nah, who cares?
It doesn't work that way. Someone called today and said, yeah, I was wondering if I could place a pre-order for a variant cover. And I said, probably not. What are you looking for? Heavy Metal number 311? Oh, the Danhausen cover. Yeah, sure. That will do.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm like, yeah. So he took his name and everything down. He's like, all right, thanks. I'm like, all right. Have a nice day, Hausen. And he actually chuckled.
He should. It's a good joke.
And even Donovan laughed. She's like, I got your joke.
It's a good joke.
Right? It's really good. I'll be honest. The guy on the phone sounded a little bit like Danhausen. I'm like, is this a trick?
Maybe. Danhausen just calling every store in the country. Yes, I am a comics fan who is a fan of the wrestler Danhausen. I would like to order a copy of Heavy Metal magazine featuring celebrated wrestler Danhausen.
Hey, while we were recording just now, I got a little message on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
The Keep Reading Comics, I almost said I love you, but I shouldn't comics. Keep Reading Comics t-shirt Kickstarter has just officially ended.
Hey, congratulations.
Don't congratulate me. It vastly underperformed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know why it did?
Why is that, Patrick?
Because it's a thing that we did that worked really well once, and we did it again.
I was thinking about that when I saw Image announced an incentive for their upcoming Gunslinger Spawn number 1.
Yeah.
A 1 in 250 signed Todd McFarlane variant that comes with the CGC certificate of authenticity. And I thought, oh, we absolutely can't do that because we did it last time and we actually sold the book. If we do it this time,
we won't.
We'll get stuck with it. This will be the one no one cares about. So it's like, automatically I'm like, we cannot let ourselves get talked into doing it a second time.
I got that email. I'm like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
No. Let's, for once in our history as comics retailers, let's take the money we made off of something and then keep it. Instead of trying it again and then burning it.
all it does is pay for the copies of King Spawn we still have on the shelf.
Sure, but we keep selling King Spawn.
Sure-ish.
I've sold some.
I believe you.
I have sold more than 0 in the last week.
You know what? I believe you.
Thanks.
And I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I could not sell one today to somebody who wanted the Spawn Universe comics. And I said, well, it was just a one-shot, but this is the next Spawn Universe comic.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want that.
Okay.
Also encountered the ever-loved by retailers and me personally. Do you have this comic? Yeah, it's right here. Oh, no, I want the different cover. No, we have this one, though. I don't want that. Yeah, I just don't want that one.
Yeah, that happened to me on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, maybe. Somebody had come in looking for Black Manta, and I went, yeah, it's over here in the New This Week section. Oh, they saw the A cover. They wanted to know if we had the B cover. Like, no, we didn't order a ton of the B cover of a miniseries that literally one person had ordered prior to release.
Yeah, I mean...
Sorry.
Yeah.
Did not seem like a good gamble.
If we're ordering 6 copies of that book by the end, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, that would definitely be a high number. It would be surprising to me as well.
And also, that has nothing to do with its level of quality.
No,
there's just no market for a Black Manta comic right now.
There's not even an Aquaman comic right now.
Yeah.
Like, Aquaman doesn't have an ongoing series. Why would there be a ton of interest in a miniseries based on Aquaman's villain?
Because he's going to be in the movie. That'll be out eventually.
He was played by a good actor who's going to be a good actor in other things, but I don't know if that translates into people saying, like, yes, I do want to read a 6-issue Black Manta miniseries. Judging by the amount of A covers we had left by the end of the day Wednesday, it did not translate.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was a low order for us.
It was. We did not... It's like a lot of DC miniseries like that, where it's like, I can vaguely see why you'd need to do this based on, like, transmedia stuff, but there isn't an audience clamoring for this. And if there was, it would have been 2 years ago.
So here's a thing that, I complain about often, but it's a new wrinkle to it.
Ooh.
I was starting the numbers for this week's DC FOCs.
Okay.
And the disturbing part about it is there's a couple of books that we specifically, I am FOCing again without having had an issue come out since the last FOC.
Cool.
So there's nothing to base it off of.
Nope.
We're FOCing books that come out next week. I mean, like, the next issue to have come out, but since the last time I had an FOC isn't until next week.
I see.
Yet I'm FOCing the beyond it.
Sure. So no sales data.
So no sales data at all. It's bad enough that half the stuff from this week is still, Green Lantern went on sale this week. You know, Batman went on sale this week.
Yep.
So I've only had 2 days of sales data to determine what the numbers will be.
Not great.
The other half, only 2 books on this week's FOC are books that weren't out this week or next week that I could go back and say, oh, all right, here's...
You had at least 1 week's worth of sales to base your numbers off of.
Except for us personally, they're books that we had number reporting issues on.
Okay.
And it's still like, giant question mark. I have no idea. I have no idea. I have so little confidence in the way I'm FOCing DC numbers that I just throw my hands up in the air and be like, that's it.
Maybe in a few weeks I can take that off your plate.
Well, I just want to warn you that a lot of people have started their Penguin FOCs this week, and a lot of people are really not liking it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing Penguin FOCs for, I guess, at least a month now.
Yeah, but this is the first week of full comics.
Yeah, I definitely am blocking out a much larger space of time to do FOCs this week for Penguin Random House because it is every comic rather than just, like, the graphic novels and whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll have to get a lot more specific on, like...
It's weird we're calling it FOCs, but for us it's initial orders.
Well, we did initial orders. We just left them in the cart. We didn't close anything because you can't... Unless they changed it, you can't go down on your
right.
FOC
No,
numbers.
it is. But it's also like, I did these numbers just a few weeks ago. How is it already FOC time?
That's how it works.
How is it already FOC time?
How it works. Yeah, I definitely don't love... At least in the short term, before we hopefully switch over to a new point of sale and subscription management platform, having to have like 2 windows open basically.
I mean, that's how I have to do it
to be able to
all the time.
Go into every single cover and go, okay, how many of these do we need for subscribers now? Versus when we might have initially ordered them, and then what's the sales data look like, and what more information have we learned since then? Like for some of these, it's like this is the first time we're seeing the cover. So, do we want it or do we not want it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
But also, does heavy metal even FOC?
I don't remember. Probably
so
not.
You'll have to go in and
I'll just order
get some of these Danhausen covers. Yeah. Although, to be fair, it really didn't do anything for Commanders in Crisis.
Yeah, it wasn't... When you sent me that, I was like, I'll order 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's fine. And we have somebody who's asking for 1. But
sure. Because that was what we had for Commanders in Crisis. We had like one person who pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
And like maybe a subscriber who eventually was like, oh, I'll get that too, when we told them about it.
And then this is a different person than that person who pre-ordered the COC one.
So yeah, I mean...
Oh, I said COC, but that's this. This is COC.
Based on past sales numbers, I guess 3 is what we can expect for this one too.
No, he's got a rabid fan base.
Okay.
Very, very rabid.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Danhausen. I think Danhausen's a very entertaining wrestler and wrestling personality. But yeah, we do have something we can point to and go, when you randomly put Danhausen on the cover of some comic book, it doesn't do a lot.
You know what I think about Danhausen?
What's that, Patrick?
I think that he's 2 things.
What's those 2 things?
I think he's very nice.
Okay, sure.
And he's very evil.
Wow. Did not expect you to go that way with
I know. I'm sorry. It was pretty bold.
Pretty huge swerve.
Dal, did you want to talk about Managed Comics? Since you have information that I have not been privy to. I guess that's the wrong way to say it. I would have been privy to it if I was, watching the thing you watched yesterday. Or
yeah, and I mean, there's a video of it if you want to watch it.
Sure. Which I should. Here's a quick little side note.
Mm-hmm.
When Donovan used to work at Greer,
yes.
the paper store, they used Shopify for everything.
Sure.
So she's very used to Shopify.
Okay.
She said Shopify is an inventory management system for people that don't want inventory management systems.
For sure.
And it's all, to her, it feels very Apple-based.
Oh, it absolutely is, yeah. So, Managed Comics has been doing these weekly thought streams, they're called. And last week's was a little bit more about some of the data management they have, the tools that kind of, like, are the scaffolding for Managed Comics. This was specifically about, here's where Managed Comics is at, here's where the point-of-sale integration is at, here's like where we're at with beta stores, here's how close we are to rolling out, which unfortunately got pushed back a couple weeks. So we are now looking at, hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of September, we'll be able to actually switch over. And I mean, some of it is, as we've talked about on the podcast before, there's core functionality stuff that's just not there. So even if, Managed Comics and was able to say, like, yes, anyone who wants to get it can get it, we'd probably look at it and go, we don't want it yet.
Yeah. I don't mind waiting because I know that each time we wait, it's getting better.
Yeah, and I mean, you had mentioned some stuff that beta stores have been saying on Facebook, I assume, in retailer groups, and I think you had looked at it as like, this is maybe not where we want it to be. Maybe we need to think about potentially like holding off or not doing this at all. And to me, it was just a thing of like, no, this is beta testing. This is what beta testing's for, is a software company creates a piece of software and they test a bunch of things that they think are going to happen. They hand it to someone else who immediately does things they never could have predicted with it.
Sure.
And then it's like, okay, well, now we have to fix that. And so, yeah, I mean, the earlier you are in the beta testing process, the way worse it is. And each successive group that gets a hold of it both finds new flaws, but also creates more instances where the software company can fix things.
Yeah, more solutions as well.
It gets both weirder and more stable at the same time as the aperture widens. So hopefully by the time it gets to us, we're in a situation where not only is the functionality that we expect to be there, but it also works in a way that we aren't frustrated by. There's a thing that I'll be doing after this episode ends where I was going to email Brian to basically say, like, hey, looking at where you're at and looking at where we're at and looking at where our Shopify inventory is at and starting to mess around with the POS app, here are things I expect us to have as problem areas that I need to know that either A, you've already considered and have solutions for, or B, we'll spend the next couple weeks trying to figure out a way so that when we're ready to flip the switch, to expect these things. Like there's like a trick to our, and it's so funny that I'm doing this because Brian will listen to this and he will have gotten an email about this before he actually hears me say this.
Yeah, right.
So it's weird to talk about it. But there's a thing specifically with how our inventory is set up that I can't remember if I've talked about on the podcast before, but I'll bring it up again and I'll try and do a shorter version of it. Basically, our Shopify inventory that's available for people to look at online is everything that's currently on the shelves. Anything that's on hold for a subscriber is not accounted for in Shopify because that's never going to get wrung out through Shopify.
Right.
So basically, when we eventually pushed to just using Shopify as a POS, anything that's in a club members box
is still on the shelf in the system?
No, we can't. We won't be able to ring out. Because as far as POS on Shopify is concerned, those items either you don't have the quantity for them, or some of them literally don't exist in Shopify because they were only ever for in-store sales.
Does Shopify not let you go into negative quantities like everything else does?
It could, but it not only, like... So the problem is more, like, the quantities are a problem. But think of it this way. If you have 4 copies of Batman 112 on the shelf, and you have 5 copies of Batman 112 for subscribers... What you could potentially end up doing is if you only sold subscriber copies and you didn't adjust the quantity in Shopify that says 4, now you have -1 in Shopify, which means you can't sell any online, but you have 4 on the shelf.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. You want the number to be accurate. The other problem is we've gotten things like variant covers and specific comics that never found its way to Shopify, either because we only stock that variant cover for subscribers, or we only stock that issue for subscribers, or in some cases... We sold out of the shelf copies of that issue before we pushed things to Shopify on Saturday. So there's a bunch of stuff that's currently sitting in subscriber boxes that we would need to essentially push out of Comic Suite into Shopify and then reallocate them out of Shopify into like a draft order for people. So these are all specific things where it's like when we're flipping the switch and Managed Comics is pulling data out of Comic Suite, like who's a subscriber and what are they down for and what do they have on hold. These are like additional hoops that I'm going to make sure that Brian knows about so that when this is happening, they have a workflow that can accommodate that.
Sure.
One of the things I started doing in the meantime, though, since we're going to be, hopefully in a few weeks, using Shopify as a point-of-sale system, is actually downloading the Shopify POS app to my phone.
Yeah.
And playing around with it. And it is very interesting in the kind of assumptions it makes. A lot of it is like it doesn't have what you'd consider like a dedicated register app because the whole thing is about creating orders and finishing them, whether that's through scanning something, whether that's through like searching for something by title and putting it into an order.
So without having seen this myself, is it like fulfilling an order on the website? Is it that kind of a screen?
There's a few, like this is, keep in mind this is on my phone, so
right.
This is not what it's going to look like on an iPad. But like this is what it is. It's a bunch of tiles.
Okay.
So if...
Add customer, add custom sale. Okay. You don't have to...
Yeah.
Who are those people?
People who've ordered things from us online.
Oh, okay.
This is currently based off of all of our online sales.
Gotcha.
And you could scan something. We'll get into that in a minute. A lot of it is just like, let's say you wanted to...
Oh, the way you said that.
Yeah, let's say you want to pull something into an order. Like you don't have to go into a separate thing to say, hey, I'm doing a transaction. The assumption when you're using this app, because it's a separate app from the Shopify app, is that this is your register. So if you wanted to pull something into an order, you would just type it in here, and then you find it, and you go, okay, that Fantastic Four 18, there you go. Now there's one item in the cart.
Oh.
That's it.
Weird.
There's a bunch of, you can add tiles to stuff. There's a bunch of default things. Now that you've got something in your cart, suddenly you can do like, oh, I want to add just a custom item. I want to apply a discount.
Would a custom item be something that's not in the system?
Yeah.
Like a bag and a board?
If you were just typing in like, someone grabbed... a bag and a board we would eventually have in the system, but like, if you just want it like a
geeky and kinky pin that doesn't have a barcode?
Sort of, yeah. But even in that instance, you would just use like, we would have like the pin category.
Oh,
like,
okay.
We wouldn't use custom sale a whole lot because we keep like inventories of all of those things so it knows how to categorize them when we... Even that, you type in 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Like, we account for all those things, so when you close the register, it knows what categories you sold and it knows how to account for them. This is something that would almost be like... if I just wanted to take $10 from someone, I would just like say, okay, I'm taking $10. Like, this is for this handshake. I charge you $10 for this handshake. I don't need to account for that.
Which actually is a true thing. Val does charge $10 for handshakes.
$10 is getting a discount. But one of the also neat things you can do is...
Do you charge me $10 and like $15 to other people, or...
We'll get into that later. It's not important right now.
Oh, huh.
Not germane to the conversation.
Okay. Well, it just makes me... I've never seen you take money from somebody else, so I'd never... Like, I was never able to count
put it together.
Yeah.
I make them Venmo me. That's the thing. You had asked about this before. There is a save cart button. So if you're in the middle of a transaction, you could just go...
Save cart and then start the next
save
one.
Save cart. And then now there's nothing in the cart currently. If you wanted to bring it back up, view save carts. Dal has this thing. It's this much. And you go boop.
Okay, that's pretty great.
There's a bunch of tiles.
I don't suppose you could do multiple save carts?
Yeah.
like 8 carts going once?
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a thing you can do where you can customize essentially what your homepage is. So if there's specific things you wanted to add, like gift cards, different tiles.
Apply discount for sure.
Well, apply discount's already on there, but you could add a second one where it was a specific discount, where if you're like, oh, I want to... So, like, you could literally just do, like, here's a 10% discount. So if I hit that button, everything gets a 10% discount, whatever.
Obviously, we'll need to figure out things like discount
supposedly
club stuff versus...
Manage Comics has built into it when you're giving it... You're assigning discounts.
Yeah.
From what Brian had said before, and I hope it works this way in actual use rather than just theory, the subscriptions create a draft order. So when you receive stuff for the week and you have something for subscribers, it creates a draft order that says, okay, this person has these things. They've been deducted from inventory. You can notify somebody about it. You can pull it into an order. Draft order stuff specifically has a discount applied to it through Manage Comics.
Nice.
So
if you choose to do that, if you're a store that does that.
Yeah, and there's ways you can set it like...
Sorry, stores that don't do discounts, you have to do one now.
Yeah, I mean, you could put in whatever discount you want. They also have built in to the functionality of Manage Comics a tiered discount system. So if you were a store that's like, if you subscribe to 5 titles or less, you get this discount. If you subscribe to 10 titles or more, you get this discount. You could do that. One of the quirky things about Shopify POS...
It worries me when you say quirky, but go on.
Are the things that it kind of can't do or doesn't do. Like, here's one of the neat things. If you wanted to scan a barcode, you could do it with the camera on your phone or your iPad.
Okay.
Pick something that we actually have on the shelves in the store because it needs to be something that is in the system.
It's so few the things you have at your fingertips. Get the Nancy book.
Yeah, okay.
You don't need to push a button. It just sees it automatically, right? In theory?
Usually it's faster than that.
This is... Should you, like, put it down so it's not always... Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
And then you add it to cart. Here's one of the interesting things about how the Shopify POS app uses the barcode through cameras. We're looking at the back of this Nancy book that has the ISBN and it also has the 5-digit extension.
Yeah, which is the price.
Shopify POS barcode scanner through the camera can't read extensions.
Oh.
For books like this, it's not a problem because you can basically just exclude this because it doesn't matter. There isn't like...
It still knows what that is.
Yeah, if this was a different price point for this Nancy book, it would be a different ISBN and it would have a completely different barcode.
But when it's a single issue comic where the extension is an issue and printing number...
Can't do that.
But that's just the camera on your phone, right?
That's just the camera on your phone. In theory, a barcode scanner would not have those problems.
Sure.
You can program a barcode scanner to recognize a lot of different kinds of barcodes. And we've had to do that before.
And that was a concern some people had, and there was a lot of talk between the difference between 1D and 2D scanners.
Yeah, well, 2D scanners are mostly just used for QR
codes and all sorts of other jumbled weird things.
Yeah, the 2D is for two-dimensional. Something that isn't just a straight line that has, height and width to it, like a QR code.
I only want a 3D scanner.
I assume they make those. For holograms, so that's one of the weird things about it, is like, that I spent a bunch of time last night looking through things and going, oh, there's literally no solution for this. Like, very few people even bring it up, and no one really has an answer for, like, can the camera do that? It just can't. Period. The end.
Interesting.
Here's the thing that I ended up finding out because of that. So I'm like, okay, well, let me look at the ISBNs that we have in our system for our books. Like, because the hope is, when we switch over to Shopify POS, a lot of this stuff is already, the data is already in the system for us.
You said you just grabbed the comic off of this rack?
I have a comic. I had a copy over here that I grabbed, which is how I learned, it's really not seeing this. So we've been using Diamond's data that's been imported through Comic Suite, and then uploading that through Octopus to Shopify. Octopus is just an intermediary. The problem is, the specific ISBN that Octopus has been pulling from some alias part of the data that we have in RMH.
Sure, because the codes that RMH and Comic Suite really rely on are the Diamond inventory codes and then the catalog listings. The ISBNs are just aliases. Yeah,
so how Shopify does things, they have two different fields. One is the SKU and one is the barcode. The SKU is kind of the unique identifier that the item has. It doesn't have to be a barcode or an ISBN or anything. It can be whatever. In our case, again, it's the Diamond stock code, the DCDL whatever, 6 digits.
Which is weird because everything else in their system is mainly based off of the catalog number.
Right.
So it's always May 20, and then literally what number item it is in the catalog, 1426.
Yeah, but
or what have
years
you.
ago they switched over to DCD, and then they eventually needed to expand it to DCDL because they had so many individual stock items in their inventory.
I'm waiting for DCDM to happen.
Right. And then the barcode is some additional alias that gets pulled in through Octopus to Shopify. So looking at it, one of the problems I was finding across thousands and thousands of graphic novels is that the aliases that are included for a graphic novel from Diamond's data, like on our RMH, is, like you're saying, the monthly code. So like it could be, the SKU is DCDL 6 digits. And then you go to the aliases and it's like May 21, 1742. And that was the individual catalog code for the month it was listed. And then you'd have the full barcode so that when you scan the book at the point of sale, it knows that that goes to the stock code that goes to everything else. It's one more way to identify the item. And then you have the ISBN. Tricky thing is, when you look at the barcode on the back of a lot of these books, it starts 978.
Yeah.
That's a standard EAN identifier. For a lot of books, or for a lot of data that Diamond was putting in, or that Diamond put in and Octopus picked this one to use, the 978 isn't technically part of the ISBN for a lot of books. It starts with the digits after 978. So a ton of our books had, on Shopify, the DCDL code, and then like 70% of this barcode. So when you go to scan it, it would go, I'm not finding 978-15248, 53259. I'm finding 15248, et cetera, et cetera.
What?
So if you noticed, we had some inventory upload emails coming in from Shopify.
I did indeed, yes.
Very, very early in the morning /
morning.
late at night.
Yeah.
That was because this guy was pulling down every single graphic novel from Shopify and figuring out a way in Excel to create a way to find and replace things so that we could drop in a 978 in front of everything and then re-uploading that so that in theory I could just show you my phone and then scan that barcode and the right book would come up.
This is the kind of thing that it's a two-pronged task for you. On the one hand, it's infuriating that it exists. On the other hand, solving this kind of stuff is what you live for.
I mean, I wish I wasn't solving it at 2:30 in the morning.
Sure.
Especially because part of this that especially was frustrating was I needed to find out that it worked, and I needed to make sure it worked before anyone else placed an order because I don't know by re-uploading this stuff if I'm breaking anything.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it takes to upload 7,000 SKUs back into Shopify?
14 minutes.
It takes a lot longer than that.
15 minutes.
It takes a couple hours, and the couple hours is like, I gotta go to bed. I'm real tired, but I can't go to bed until this is done. So that was the not fun part.
It's like years ago, I was going out of town for something, and I'd just gotten a whole new audio-video setup. And I hired you, I gave you my keys
You did, that's true.
to come over and put it all together because that problem solving is like that's
it's fun to do.
you love that stuff. So and also
I love it when it works.
as
Don't love it when it doesn't work.
appreciative as I am that you did this not even knowing it was happening is nothing to compare to how excited you are for having done it.
Yeah, I mean certainly it's
And to be fair, it's the same. It's the gutters.
Yeah, basically. It's that thing where, like, this needs to get done. I might as well do it. It's going to be invisible if I do it right.
This wasn't, exactly, this wasn't a problem, like, this wasn't a thing that we knew we needed to do.
Right.
But once we figured it out and then did it, it's like, this is so great.
Yeah, so part of the thing
and no one will ever know.
Again, if it works, hopefully it's invisible. One of the things that I will also need to have / already have emailed Brian about is we definitely need to get our data corrected because like this is a stopgap. This works fine, but like if we can get all of Managed Comics data applied to our data before we switch over, like in the process of switching over to Shopify POS, that would be great. I would love for this to have been unnecessary, but this was I got to make sure that at the very least this part works.
Yeah.
In case Brian's like, no, we can't do that, or no, that's going to be later in the roadmap or whatever. So yeah, that was a fun thing, like finding out the ways that Shopify POS, like what its assumptions are and how it works is kind of interesting. One of the things that's kind of, I think I've mentioned this before, is both like a benefit and also a frustration is how modular Shopify's POS is and how you, like, if you need it to do something, there's an app that someone will sell you that will do it. One of the big things for us is going to be bringing in draft orders. In the same way that we hit F7 now in Comic Suite and point of sale to bring in people's subscriptions so that they're accounted for, you need to be able to, in Shopify POS, hit, a thing to get at draft orders and then say, I'm bringing this draft order into an actual sale to close it out. You can't do that in Shopify POS. You can get an app that will let you do it.
Oh, man.
One I found cost $15. I know that Brian had said he had one that he used, and I got to find out which one he used. Because even the $15 one, people are like, it works great. The negative reviews are, I should not have to pay $15 for this. This should be something Shopify does. And it's like, that's not the app developer's problem.
But also,
they solved
it's
it.
$15, right? Not like $15 monthly, annually.
$15 a month.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dag.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man, it's $4 a week.
Sure.
And in
but
other
then
ways,
also,
we're saving money.
is it, so it's an extra app.
Yeah.
Is it an extra step? Like, do you have to open that program or
no, that literally
once that plugs in, that's it?
Yes.
Okay.
I looked at this, I haven't used it because obviously I haven't bought it yet. But looking at the screenshots, it literally just adds a tile to your home screen. So instead of like adding customer or whatever, you just go add draft order. You click that and here's a list of draft orders and you go, great, done.
Okay.
And draft orders are something that already exists within Shopify's inventory management.
Yeah.
It just on POS, you kind of can't get it.
It has a search thing, so basically, like you would then you'd add a draft order, but then type in a customer name.
No, like the draft order belongs to a customer,
right?
So like you wouldn't need.
But a draft order is essentially your subscriptions.
Yes.
So, let's say, let's say I'm trying to pick Chris Weiberg is in.
Okay, right.
And you click the button for draft order, and you said, "Here's a list of all of them." He's going to be way at the bottom if it's alphabetical.
I haven't used the app, so I don't know. But there's probably a way to search for names or whatever.
And that's what I assumed there was.
Yeah,
the same F7 type in a name kind of functionality.
Something. I mean, there's just like probably a search bar at the top where you'll say like, let me narrow this field down through filters or through search terms or whatever. Because there's for a lot of stores, it's if you're paying $15 a month, the assumption is that you have a lot of draft orders.
Yeah.
So organizing them, and one of the other good things about Shopify is that, like I said, there's one I found, but I don't know if it's the one that Brian had been using and testing.
Sure.
There's a lot of options. Like, this is not one developer team that figured out there was a gap in Shopify's user experience that they could fill. This is the first one I found that I thought looked okay. There's probably 10 more that I could choose from.
Sure. Now, does it let you rotate your starters and keep all the player stats for your draft team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Of course it does. Why would you pay for it otherwise?
Sure. And I know it's not a draft team; it's a fantasy team. But I was just trying to make that
my draft board.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it was interesting playing around with that yesterday. Some of it was just because I got really excited about more of the details coming out about what Managed Comics is up to and how close they're getting on certain things.
And see, that's a good thing.
It really is. Like, one of the things that they're getting close to is a thing where I would consider at this point, after a year of using Pullbox, pretty integral to what we would need to offer subscribers, and that is the ability to special order a single issue of a comic book.
Sure.
Like, currently, I think Managed Comics is built in a way where it's like, if it's an ongoing series like Batman, you can subscribe to Batman, but you can't just, like, order Batman 113.
We had somebody today who's like, I just want Batman up through 117.
Right. And, like, you could do that as a subscription. Like, I don't think you could necessarily tell it when to end, although maybe you can. But, like, if someone's like, I want the next 6 issues, like, just sign up for it and then cancel it when you're done. Like, that's it. But the sort of thing where someone would say, I only want this one issue, is a thing that I don't think currently exists in the consumer-facing side of Managed Comics, and they are working on that this week.
Okay.
You'll be happy to know that one of the things that Brian had said on the most recent Thought Stream
is he loves Grimjack.
Is that he loves Grimjack. Is that...
I did not see any Grimjack graphic novels on his bookshelf.
Maybe they're right behind him.
Oh, they probably are.
Probably are.
Yeah.
He stands too close to the camera, so you can't see all of the books behind him. He needs to back up a good 7-8 feet.
He should duck down, start the feed, then slowly rise up, or walk in from off panel.
What if the feed started with him reading a copy of Grimjack Collection? They went, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were recording," and then he closes it up and puts it down.
I would be appreciative. I mean, I wouldn't do anything special because I don't know how to reward that, other than the fact that he's reading it is his reward.
Well, your reward is this. He mentioned that what their expectation is, what they want to deliver for the initial order and final order cutoff screens on the management side are essentially Comic Sweep, but better.
Great.
Like, they want the data to sort of look like that, to be populated in those ways.
Yeah.
So, like, that's kind of what they're aiming for as what retailers are sort of used to dealing with and what they want to deliver on. So, like, at least for that, I know that that's one of the things that you sometimes get frustrated with when you've seen other people's
POSs systems,
POSs
or inventory management systems.
Yeah, is kind of how that data gets shown. Parsed is a good way of putting it. This is something where someone is coming in, essentially trying to meet you more than halfway.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
There's points with RMH, and even today, I think that I took to RMH a lot better than I took to RMS.
Really?
And I think that the things that RMH is doing make a lot more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is like my issues are design issues, or why do you have the receive all button to the right of the, like, just, it should be to the left.
Yeah, there's some needlessly confusing elements.
Things like that.
One of the things that kills me is that oftentimes if you, like, delete something from a list of items, let the record show that Patrick is making the big money Matt Hardy delete motion, that it then grays out certain buttons at the top.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, do it again. You have to close manager and then redo it. Like, there's elements like that where it's like, this seems
literally
needlessly convoluted.
So one of the things I'm curious on how to learn is how to transfer in and out merchandise. Like today I was doing returns. So I had to pull those out of the system.
Right.
And it's easy enough to do. But whenever I do one of those things, I save it and close it, and then I forget the wording, publish it or post it or ship it. Because half the time I can't figure out how to do it while it's still open.
I always save and close it.
Yeah, it's easier that way.
Just for data's sake. Like, I don't want to redo anything, and I don't want to find out that something crashed and I'm in the middle of it. So if I can save, I'll save. Yeah, I mean, it's transferring stuff out in Shopify. We'll eventually be using, and you'll laugh when I say this, Stocky, which is the more robust, thicker inventory management aspects of Shopify.
See, I'm laughing because you use robust and thicker.
I did it,
which is exactly why you did it. Yeah, I know, but it still worked.
But it's really just a thing where you scan stuff and then it'll have a list of things and you go, okay, adjust the quantity
like
up or down.
Like a little box with like basically, I can't remember the stupid paperclip's name. Clippy. Like Clippy's face on like a wooden crate.
No, I was thinking more like, is it Herbie? Who is the one with the lollipops?
And Herbie the Fat Fury.
I'm thinking that.
Yeah. No, I like mine is a little more boxy.
Sure.
But still stocky.
Yeah. Stocky might have an
icon?
An anthropomorphized version that exists in their marketing. I don't know. I haven't asked.
For the record, I want to create an app for Shopify.
Okay.
That just literally adds the word Hausen to the end of every title.
Oof, good one.
Yeah. I think it's an easy thing to do.
Sure.
And I think a lot of retailers would benefit from it.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what the app is called?
What's it called, Patrick?
Hausen, of course. I mean, why would you?
Obvious.
There's no other... Yeah.
Yep.
And it would be free.
Wouldn't the app end up having to be called Hausen? And couldn't that cause some logic problems where, like, every time it sees... It keeps adding Hausen at the end?
Yeah, it's Infinity Hausen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go on.
I was thinking about the Hausenberg uncertainty principle. Now
just kept going.
It's happening.
Hausenberg Hausen. See? Just keeps going. So we use Stocky.
Yeah. No, and so there's probably different ways we'll have to learn how to do it. But there are
Is Stocky also a monthly fee?
I think it's included with your Shopify POS.
Okay.
Shopify POS is an additional monthly fee.
I wonder how many of their apps are that are just cosmetic. Oh, you want to make your app blue and red? Here you go.
Probably. I mean, there are different store templates.
Do you want everything to be in Welsh?
There probably is, yeah. I would not be surprised if there were specific, like, regional dialect sort of things where it's like, we'll just auto-translate all of your information.
Donovan is taking an Irish language course. And she's phrased it that way, and I'm like, Irish language? It's just English.
Is she just learning accents now?
I mean, she's learning Gaelic.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just just say Gaelic. And what?
She's just learning how to say Miami. That's it.
Garden. Don't go in the garden. Don't go in the garden. Don't go in the garden. Don't. He's in the garden. Which is always my way into Irish accents from now on.
It's good. It's a good warm-up.
But I'm like, so what, why Gaelic? Why not Welsh?
Sure.
Why Gaelic? But I guess her name has roots in Gaelic. Like, I think Donovan itself is a Gaelic name.
Sure. Okay.
But I'm like, what kind of things do you want to say in Gaelic? She's like, I don't know. I don't know anything in Gaelic.
Mm-hmm.
Clada. Which was her joke, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I'm like, all right, there you go.
It's like taking Spanish classes to learn how to say burrito. Okay, sure.
So maybe there's a Gaelic app. That's my point.
Potentially a plugin. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. There is. I'm kind of excited to eventually start using Shopify POS full time because I think there's a lot of things that we would never have even thought we could ask for quality of life improvements for RMH and Comic Suite that we can immediately find on Shopify. Like things that we didn't know were costing us time and energy that we could automate or find better ways to use.
I'm going to waste my time looking for apps that do nothing of value, but just like, can I get an animated Captain America shield bouncing around the screen in the background?
I mean, you're going to be doing this on an iPad, so I'm sure that stuff already exists.
Right?
You don't need Shopify for that. That's just a basic iPad app.
Oh, and thinking it over, as much as that listeners' offer was extremely generous, I think our best route is to do it via card, where we can monthly installments and have the
we'll just be doing it
aspect.
through AT&T. I mean, that was one of the options before, was just put it on a phone plan because we're going to need phone service.
But I mean, buying the actual...
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that through AT&T.
Okay.
They'll sell you an iPad.
Oh, I thought we were just going to get it at Best Buy.
Do you want to give Best Buy more money right now?
Well, see, I was really on my way to not say those names, but I mean, ultimately, that guy did solve everything for me.
He did, it's true. But I mean, there's been times where you have been less put out and more likely to say, I don't want to shop with that service for a little while. You were so mad multiple days.
Yeah, but you understand why.
I do. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, if you wanted to
I'd
skip
also
Best Buy, we
point
could do
out that was a suburban Best Buy and not ours.
That's true.
It's not like they're Freshly or something.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely places, any number of places that will sell you an iPad for the same price. Like, you're not going to get it cheaper.
I just meant because we have a store account and because we can...
We do.
Yeah.
But
before I go any further, I want to mention a pull box error that's super fun.
Yay.
Club member Drew Triner, who is an incredibly nice guy and incredibly helpful to the store.
Thanks, Drew.
And just one of our favorite people. He was buying his books today, and he brought up May's book, and he goes, hey, I just want to make sure that this is on my account. Mm-hmm. He didn't say, I thought I was down for this. He didn't say, you didn't pull this from me. He just said, I want to make sure this is on my account. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's on his account.
Okay.
He subbed for it back in June.
Okay.
It did not pull for him.
Great.
He was down for number one.
Mm-hmm.
It
it's
wasn't
still listed as on order?
No, nothing. It just didn't populate at all.
No, but I mean, so when...
I didn't look at the on order field.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's in his title list.
Sure.
Starting with issue 1.
Right.
And it wasn't pulled for him. It didn't...
Comic Suite didn't pull it for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything wrong. Comic Suite didn't.
I didn't think
Comic Suite didn't pull it. We didn't miss it. It was just... It didn't say, he wants
didn't
this.
Pull it for him. Yeah.
So I didn't look to see if it was an on order book still.
Because it's sometimes what happens where, for whatever reason, the system doesn't find it, essentially. We'll have to look and make sure if that's the case. Otherwise, it just didn't get pulled down from Pullbox, which is a different error that would be frustrating.
Yeah. But I mean, it's on his list, so it had to get pulled down at some point. Because we wouldn't have added it without...
No, but the title can get pulled down without the pre-order getting pulled down.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm concerned about.
Okay.
If the pre-order got pulled down and it didn't fill, that's one error. If the title got pulled down and the pre-order didn't, that's a different error, and that's slightly more frustrating. Either way, I don't expect either one of those problems to be solvable by reporting them in. There have been any number of times that people have ordered something through Pullbox, and that order never gets pulled down to us, and they've reported it to Pullbox, and nothing happens.
No, of course not.
Pullbox is just like, hey, this person wanted this, you should pull it for them. And it's like, that's not why they're reporting the error. Book already came out.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, for us, like, we're limited by what we can do as one instance of a store, because we can report stuff to Comic Suite, but a lot of times it's just like, we'll take a backup of your database and let the programmers look at it. And then maybe it gets fixed on a later patch. Maybe it never gets fixed. That's why we're getting rid of Comic Suite and Pullbox, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I figured telling that story would just make you that much more excited for this new venture.
There was a thing, I can't remember what it was, but there's something earlier this week. Oh, it's just a thing where, like, there's a lot of frustrations with how inventory management works through RMH, where it will frequently and for years create kind of ghost commits where you go into an item on RMH Manager, like a graphic novel. You'll be like, why does the manager think we have the wrong amount of copies? And you'll find out, oh, because it thinks one is on hold. Like, it'll say one is currently committed for a subscriber, quantity of one. But then you'll look and you'll find out literally no one's down for it. And when you go into Comic Suite to look at who might have it on hold, there's no one. And if there's no one, you can't remove that commit because there's nothing to remove. You can renumber it in Manager and go, okay, I know you have one in the committed field. Let me make that a 0. At some point, the system's going to refresh and it's going to be like, oh, nope, you still need one for this person. Which person? They don't exist. Okay, that's unhelpful.
Right.
The inability to really, like...
it's John Cena.
To finalize your data like that is such a frustration within Comic Suite, and it has been for years, and I'm so anxious to hopefully move to a system where that is less of a problem, where we are more able to just say, I know you think I have one on hold. I don't. Let me just make that 0, and you'll remember that. I hope that's the case with Shopify. I really do. Or at least, like, better reporting on, like, the system must think someone's down for it. Who? Who is that? Let me get at that, like, field to understand that better.
Oh, the potentials of tomorrow.
Or October, at the very least.
Yeah. Big changes for October.
Yeah.
Speaking of changes...
Patrick?
Did you see the Cushing email from today?
I don't think I did.
Okay. They sent proofs for the upper banners.
Oh, cool.
They look great.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Just what you wanted?
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly. And clutch move on your part, calling out the transparent logo versus the filled-in C. Makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Makes all the difference.
Okay, yeah. That was my contribution to this process.
The mullions, and that is what we call the window frame. The mullions.
Mullions.
The mullions.
Munions are a type of Funyun, I think. Those are the malted Funyuns that you can get.
Those are delicious. The mullions. So the splits on the logo are in the C and in the N.
Okay, that works.
I know you wanted to incorporate it into, like, the L's or something, but it would not work out.
I don't know that I was that married to that as a concept. It was mostly just like, I don't want things to look stretched.
Yeah.
So I want the breaks to be accounted for within the design, essentially. Which it sounds like there, and that's great.
Yeah. So there'll be a big white bar in the middle of the N, in the middle of the C, but I think it reads just fine.
Great.
Yeah, I may have, and this doesn't affect anything, misnamed 2 of the over-the-door ones, the illustration ones.
Okay.
I may have said sidekicks for the Elio one and main for the Stephanie Mited one. Okay. Just in case you're there when it's a U day when they're putting them up.
It should go Stephanie Mited, then Elio, then
DWJ. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume that there is no expectation as to when these will be
installed?
No,
because I just approved it today, so they still have to go through and print it and then schedule. Sure. So I would say 2 weeks.
I hope by the end of the month. That'd be great.
Yeah. I think it'll...
Certainly, as always, the weather becomes a factor.
Right.
The later you get into fall.
And there is definitely a temperature in which you cannot adhere vinyl to glass.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly, like, between the temperature and precipitation, like, those are things that I think would be maybe...
Don't you realize it's never going to rain again?
You put the gutters up, that's right.
Yeah, it's never going to rain again.
Or it's never going to rain hard. It will drizzle, it will rain, but it won't pour.
So this happened on Tuesday when there was a little bit harder than average rain. And I was cursing the rain for not being hard enough. Yeah. And you just started laughing and saying, you're never satisfied? Yeah. Because for 13 and a half years, you complain every time it rains?
Yeah, if it gets a little bit over a drizzle, you're like, God damn it. And now it's like, when is it going to pour? Why isn't it coming down harder?
We need a test run.
We do. It's true. I agree with you, but it's still funny.
To you.
Yeah, to me.
Speaking of changes
Patrick.
in the store, as everybody should know by now, there are many supply chain issues for literally every product in the world. Stores are starting to limit toilet paper again, kind of thing. There's shortages everywhere.
Oh, manga.
And, we're not talking about, yeah, definitely manga, but...
That's the bane of my existence right now. Other things that we might run out of, like supplies or Pokemon cards, it's like, I don't know, whatever. Manga's the thing where it's like, this is like core to our business.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of thing that, like, if you can get like a manga sale once, you can hook that person for years. Like Pokemon cards, people buy them wherever. Bags and boards, I don't know, you see someone maybe a couple times a year if they're not a regular customer. But manga, you could get that person coming back week after week for years, and it's like, I can't do that if the first time they come in for Demon Slayer or Death Note or My Hero Academia, I'm just like, no, and I don't know when we're going to have it. Anyway.
People have even said that the Viz estimate of mid-2020 is optimistic.
Or 2022.
2022, yeah, whatever. What year is this?
Yeah, I certainly, like, the logistics of, like, we'll be ready
How did I get here?
by this point is compounded by, while you're doing that, you're running out of more things. And you don't know what you're going to run out of and how quickly they're going to run out because you can't predict a lot of things.
You could just assume
or you
run out of
wouldn't have
everything.
run out already.
You're just going to run out of everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I certainly, like, there's been things where, like, I not to step over what you're going to say, but there's been a lot of...
That was stepped over
This is
minutes back.
This is a minor thing that I want to talk about. Like a lot of stores, what we are having to adjust to is we're running out of the ability to reorder stuff for just-in-time selling. Like, there's a lot of graphic novels that we would stock one copy of because it's like, okay, well, when we sell that, we're not going to sell more than a copy a month.
Right.
So we run out of it, we reorder it, it's back in 7 or 10 days, fine. But now there's stuff where it's like, we're selling it twice a month, and then on top of that, it's taking 2 or 3 weeks instead of 1 or 2 weeks to get stuff back in, if it's even available. So now, like, when I reorder Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man Ultimate Collection Volume 1, the initial appearances of Miles Morales as a comic character, I'm ordering 3 copies instead of, like, 1. Because
But what do you have it set to reorder? To 3 or not? Are you changing the...
I'm just doing it on the fly. This is the thing where, like, I might not restock when we sell 1 copy. I might restock when we sell 2 or 3 copies.
Sure.
But when we run out, it's like, I'm going to order a bunch because I don't know how long it will be before these will be available again. They might run out, and they might be out for months. So that's happening more and more. Like manga stuff, I'm ordering 2s and 3s for My Hero Academias for whatever's available because, again, don't know how long those are going to have to last us for.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Well, specifically supplies, comic supplies.
Yeah.
Every time we're doing a Southern Hobby order for anything, and you
Like
know,
boxes.
Well, no, anytime we're doing an order for gaming or pops,
Okay.
I'm also like, let's check. And literally the only things we can get, and this is not their fault, it's all supply chain issues, are bags, boards, boxes. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. No card supplies, no...
Yeah, people have asked about different, like,
the
carrying
cases. Yeah, nope, can't get those. Can't get top loaders for any size. Card,
Top
comic.
loaders has been like a year.
Yeah.
Like a year since we had top loaders.
So our supply section is just, we keep spreading the same things out more and more. So today we got rid of it. We didn't get rid of it. We moved it.
You moved it?
We moved it to the end of the graphic novels.
Where the pops were.
And put the pops where the supplies were.
Nice.
So now the pops have a little more room.
They need it.
Well, it's a little more room. It's not a lot more room because...
It's like an additional, 2-foot section?
Yes, but it's not as...
Many rows.
Is row columns?
Rows.
As it was. Because it goes from 6-foot grid to 5-foot grid.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And I think specifically that that section didn't go as low to the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's still like it hangs off. So we did gain...
Some spots.
4 2-foot shelves.
Okay.
Which is something.
Something.
And they do look better. They look tighter
I
there.
assume, yeah.
I was able to put like the Hulks can go back there.
Yeah.
And they're not organized yet. They're just there, but
That's
it's
great.
changed. And it looks fine. Like we
You're
basically
okay with...
every supply category had to lose a 2-foot section.
It's fine.
But it's fine. And then we moved all of the, not the boxes, but all the overstock bags and boards that are on top of the shelves down to on top of those shelves, so they're right there.
Okay, great. And I mean, you had talked about, not just because of the supply stuff, but just in general, like maybe we just have a smaller supply section. Like we offer less varieties. It's fine.
I mean, we have no choice but to.
Right. But I mean, even beyond like what's allowable by distributors, it's just a thing of like, maybe we just offer these things, these core items, instead of like a whole bunch of extra additional stuff.
Yeah, it's just, I waste my time going through, because we have a master catalog order of, let me just plug in these things and see what's available.
I love that you did that up, and then just as you did that, there's a pandemic where suddenly like none of that stuff is available ever again.
But I still need it just to find out. The answer is no.
But it's sad.
But it's like, we 2 different companies worth of pop vinyl box protectors. Can't get those. Can't get either one of those.
Great.
Like, hey, we were carrying the comic preservers, the ones with the boards already sealed in. We were getting them loose or in packs of 10. Neither of those.
Yeah.
Everything is just bags, boards, and boxes is all we can get, really.
Right.
Which, fine, that's core to what people want.
For sure.
We need to keep stocking those graphic boxes as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those do crazy well now.
They really do.
But yeah, so that's changed, and the only thing I don't like about it is that the boxes are not right there.
That is a shame.
But what can you do?
Yeah, it certainly, there's the positives outweigh the negatives in the move.
And also, it's not like it's that far. It's like, you want boxes? Turn around. They're right there. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
According to FedEx, the Poster Emporium order, which is massive, was showing up today.
Did not.
Did not.
Maybe tomorrow.
The funny part is FedEx came early today, yet the tracking still said, it's coming today. Like, FedEx is already here. They don't come back multiple times.
They do not. They're not going to send 2 trucks.
So, I don't know, tomorrow, the next day?
Maybe tomorrow. No offense, I hope it's tomorrow.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, this, like I said, this order is simple.
Yeah.
You price $11.99 over every barcode.
Yep.
Check everything and price it, throw it out there. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not...
It's just
nothing's getting logged in.
It's just Mondays usually have enough stuff arriving that one extra couple massive boxes.
One PRH box today. No packing slip.
Great.
I pulled the packing slip down. Half the stuff on the packing slip came in Tuesday.
Great.
From that order.
Great.
But here's the thing that that puzzled me. Also, how to say that sentence was one of those things. There was something in the box that wasn't part of that order.
Okay.
Sandman Overture.
Okay.
Sandman Overture showed up in the box. It wasn't on that
packing slip.
Well, there was no packing slip, but on the invoice that we got.
Sure.
And then there was a shortage. We ordered 2 of the Tales of the Crypt EC reprints. We only got 1. I can't.
I assume the other one is just showing up at a later date.
But it's not like I was going to go report it. I can't find it because when I plug in that order number in their website, it's just a handful of books. Yeah, this was 2 pages. When I printed it out from the order, it was 2 pages.
I'd have to take a look.
Just a handful of things.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's probably just you need to scroll down or click on some other thing or some other stupid thing. Like it's sometimes can be difficult to get at the right order through PRH's screens. It is unintuitive how some of the stuff is broken down.
It really is.
Like when you place an order, fine. Once they start shipping stuff out, suddenly it's on like 4 different screens.
Yep. So I went in the system and changed the quantity.
But you didn't receive the Sandman Overture?
I couldn't. There was no way to receive it.
I mean...
Receive it from what?
I think we talked about this earlier in the week. You would just go into Item Dashboard and find what the unfilled order number is. And
we did talk about it, but I didn't see you do it.
Okay.
So I have no reference for that.
Okay, that's fair. I'll just need to void out that order to make sure that we don't... Because now the system thinks we've got one, but then when we sell it, it's going to think we still have one on order, so it won't know to reorder.
I mean, but when it comes in, you can just...
But it did come in.
Change the quantity. Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'll just... afterwards, I'll just do that.
Fine.
1 copy of Sandman Overture 30th Anniversary Edition?
Yep.
Perfect.
I live to make more work for you.
It's okay. It's one minor thing.
That's okay. This whole podcast is more work for me.
It really is. It's a lot. After this, I'm writing an email and having dinner and Waiting for Rampage. That's about it. It's my Friday night.
Rampage was recorded Wednesday.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I stayed away from all the spoilers, though.
Okay, thanks.
But we'll get to it later. Because this is over. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
550 episodes. You did it. You can retire now.
I personally did it.
I mean, you did. Not just you, but...
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.